Hey everybody, how's it going? Scott Hogan coming to you here from the Scott Hogan Golf Performance Center. We're here in Joliet, Illinois, just south of Chicago, about 40 minutes or so. So wanted to go over today and have a little fun with some technology and the internet and all that stuff, and do one of my favorite things, which is talk about golf and really talk about the golf swing, which I think can be very, very, very badly misunderstood at times, but something as we start to understand some of the concepts, we can really, start to get better at golf a lot quicker, a lot faster, and all of a sudden we can play and shoot lower scores a lot easier, and hopefully without, clouding up our head and getting too many thoughts that we can have in our, in our games. So as we go, this is something we want to do. We're looking to do this every 2 weeks. So if you have topics, things that you'd like to discuss, go ahead, leave comments. I'll look through them afterwards, and I'd love to hear your feedback as well. I hope you can hear me, because we're having issues with audio earlier, but we hopefully got it worked out, and we'll go from there. So again, any feedback you have, we'd love to hear it. So tonight we're going to talk about one of golfers' biggest things that they struggle with. One of the biggest things they struggle with is slicing the golf ball. So for those that aren't quite sure what that is, for a right-handed player, that'd be a shot where I hit it and it curves off way to the right, and if it was a left-handed player, you'd curve it way off to the left. So it's one of the most common mistakes a golfer can make, and to me it really comes from a couple of things. So what we're going to talk about as we try to help you fix your slice, we're going to talk about conceptually, what makes the golf ball go straight? What makes a straight shot? Or even a draw. A lot of people would love to see a draw happen as they go, so curving it the other way. From there, we'll talk about a couple of little checkpoints that you can go through that I think will really help you as a player. As you're analyzing your own swings, if you're looking on video at home or in a mirror, things that you can do that will really help you start to get an idea of where you can make improvements to stop slicing. And then the last part we're going to talk about is that missing puzzle piece, that part that's going to take it to the golf course. So many times I work with students, they can get in practice, they'll be able to hit the ball and get it to draw or get it straighter. But when they get out to the golf course, it can all fall apart, and we want to talk about a couple of things that you can do that will really start to help you do that. So let's go ahead, and we're going to start first with, again, we're going to talk about concepts of why I think most people struggle with hitting the ball with a slice, okay? So what really happens as we go through, okay, when I start talking to golfers, and the first thing they come to me and they start saying is, all right, I've got a slicing problem. And I'll start trying to figure out, okay, what do they do that causes that slice? The thing that we look at is their idea when they're swinging a golf club is that it must travel straight back and it's going to travel straight through. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you travel straight through and straight back with a square club face, the ball would go straight. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. That causes you to slice the ball. And here's why. Because when we look at a golf club, okay, if I was to take my target line down here, and you're going to see them going straight ahead here, okay? So I've got my target line, and I've also got the orange one up here if you're having a hard time seeing it. But if I took the golf club, okay, and I look at how it sits, first thing we notice is it does not sit straight up and down. It sits on an angle. So right away, when we start looking at our golf swing, I'm going to use this hula hoop to help us illustrate this. But if I took the hula hoop and I rested it right about where the golf club sits, we'd start to see, all right, that's where I want the golf club to start swinging. It's meant to swing something close to the angle that this hula hoop sits, okay, as it goes back and as it goes through. Now, some people will call that swing plane, and some people will debate if swing plane exists. All we have to know is the clubs, there's not a good player that doesn't swing the club somewhat somewhat close to, again, the angle that this golf club sits. So we're trying to get this club to swing more on the angle of this hula hoop. And when we start to do that, what we're going to notice is if I started tracing the hula hoop back, that club, as it goes back and through, is actually going to travel from inside the golf ball to outside the golf ball, okay? And then it's going to come back inside, but it's going to travel more on an arc shape that goes out away from your body. So again, most people think, okay, I've got to go straight back, straight through. Now for that to really work, we'd actually need a golf club that was set up. I'm going to get on angle here with all of you back there. We got to get it set up to where it's straight up and down. Many of you saw Bryson DeChambeau try putting. We saw a putter on the PGA Tour where he was trying to get the club as vertical as possible because he wanted to swing his putter straight back and straight through. So that was the idea that we saw there. Unfortunately, we don't get to do that with these golf clubs, and we don't really want to. We would swing it slower. We wouldn't hit it as far anyway if we had that. So we get the golf club and we start understanding, all right, my goal as I swing a golf club, I need to be swinging more from the inside of the ball as I go through, okay? And why does that happen, okay? Again, we're gonna start talking, we're just talking conceptually from a ball flight standpoint, you know, what's the golf ball doing? So a lot of people always see me on the lesson tee, they always ask me, why do I have a tennis racket? Because I think it's the easiest way to understand what we're doing as a player to the golf ball. So I've got my tennis ball here. So if I took my racket, same idea in tennis, if I was going to hit a shot, as I'm coming in, if I was going to hit a forehand, and if any of you watch tennis, you see how those players strike the ball, you're going to see a lot of them like to put topspin on the ball, okay? And they are physically spinning the ball where it's going to go up, it's going to drop over the net and land in the court. So as we play, you know, we start controlling the spin of the ball. Again, as a golfer, that's all we're trying to do with the golf club. As I'm swinging, I'm just trying to put some spin and control the spin in the correct direction. Again, more times than not, I see players, they think straight back, straight through, and they're thinking more that's going to just automatically send the ball straight. Unfortunately, when we start getting into how the club works with some of the forces that go on, it almost always is going to come in and put a spin that's going to send the ball off to the right, okay? So as a golfer, we start getting this idea of a spin, again, with how the club is designed, where it's on an angle. I need to be able to put a little bit of spin control, and if I want that ball to draw, which is curving right to left, I better make it spin that way to get it to happen. So if I'm going to do that, I better swing out away from me and then get the ball and be able to put some spin on it, okay? So again, conceptually, I think that's one of the first things we see as coaches, as I see is, when I start talking to players is, all right, we're getting into golf, we've been playing a while, we start thinking, all right, I got to keep the club low and slow away, it's got to go straight back, I need my left arm straight, all these things. But at the end of the day, what we need to be able to do is understand the golf club is designed to swing into the ball a certain way, which is, again, more from almost a behind us feel, swinging out, so we can put some spin on the ball and get it to drop, okay? And get the shape that we're looking for, again, where it goes out and curves back to the left, all right? For a right-handed player. Lefties, you can flip it around, okay? So conceptually, that's our first goal as we go. So how would we do that as we practice, okay? One of the things that I like to do is just have a reference point. We take this stick on the ground, alignment rods. One of the things I'm not a huge fan of is I don't like having alignment rods on the ground necessarily for aim all the time. Very rarely do we check aim. I'd rather see players working on controlling the spin. I think, again, when players start thinking I have to aim straight, that's when we're going to hit it straight. We're not thinking of the idea of controlling the golf ball with our swing. So I'd rather see us have alignment sticks on the ground that are representing the club path. How am I going to deliver into the golf ball? Okay, so I put a stick down here on the ground. You can't see it. You're going to see it now, hopefully, where it's pointing out this direction. It's pointing out away from me as I'm going to swing. Okay, so if I can do that, all of a sudden, I'm on the right track to get in my head of what I'm trying to do. And that's one of the biggest issues as we start slicing or overcoming our slices. Mentally, our brain has to put it together and say, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. If it doesn't have the idea of what is actually happening, it's really tough to put this all together and say, all right, I can do this. I can control the curve the way we're saying and get it to go. So that's the first part, giving ourselves the concept of what it's like to hit a draw or get rid of our slice, okay? So that's the first thing, okay? We're not going to swing this golf club straight back and straight through, okay? So our next thing, all right, that we're going to look at is the club face, all right? The number one reason, okay, from a technical standpoint, okay, the first is conceptually, are we able to understand how to hit a draw, how to hit a slice? Why does the ball do what it does? All right, all we're doing is controlling the spin. But from there, are we able to start controlling the club face from a technical side that's going to allow us and give us the best chance to hit a draw or not slice it, okay? So here's what we're talking about as we go through this. So hopefully we know what the club face is. That's just this part right on the front. That's the club face right there. When we come in, again, if we took our racket idea, okay, if I was going to put spin on the golf ball, if I've got the club face open, I'm going to be putting a glancing blow, and I'm going to get this ball to start spinning the opposite way. It doesn't matter how much in to out I swing, okay? If I've got the face well open or I don't have it under control, I'm never going to be able to control it to hit a draw. I'm never going to get the ball under control. So we want to start seeing how can we get the club face under control, okay? So there's a couple of things that we're looking for. Again, if our goal is to draw the ball, we need to get some spin the other way. So if I'm going to get it, I need to get the club face in a more closed or even a neutral position, okay? Can't have a club face that's wide open at the bottom pointing out away from me, okay? And again, that's something that I think naturally happens from our idea. Some players will do it, just they have it, that's what they do. But a lot of players do it because, again, they're thinking straight back, straight through, and as they do that, the club face comes in wide open down into impact. So we want to start figuring out ways to get the golf club face under control. So the first thing that we have to check, we do have to check our grip, okay? It's a very important piece to this puzzle, all right? Now, I'm not talking necessarily about a weak grip or a strong grip, because I know plenty of players with a weaker grip that draw the ball. Okay, I know plenty of players with a stronger grip that play a fade. Ben Hogan comes to mind, where he had a little bit of a stronger grip, getting 2-3 knuckles going, okay? So he always played the famous Hogan fade as he was going. So it's not necessarily getting a strong or a weak grip that's going to make the difference. The main thing is we have to have it in a position where we can control the golf club. So the biggest thing I'll see is when people have a grip that's way under, okay, or even way too far over. I'll see that. They get way too over. this is actually not the best position to hit draws from, even though it's a strong grip or a closed face grip where you're supposed to be hitting a draw from there, or what they used to say. You used to do that, okay? But now, as we go, we start saying, okay, this doesn't help us because it's too strong. We actually are better off hitting a fade from that position. And if we get too weak, well, we're going to lose control of the golf club altogether, and we're going to have no idea. So we do have to check our grip, making sure that we have it on the pad of our finger, not in the palm. It should not be right under your thumb. It should be more in the fingers of your lead hand. If you're righty, it's your left hand. If you're lefty, it's your right hand. So you do want to see that. And then we can start talking about if we can get there, all of a sudden, we're going to have a much better chance to control the club face throughout the entire swing. So let's talk about, there's a couple of key checkpoints that I like to look at throughout the swing that I think set you up for a really good attempt at hitting a draw. So we're going to start with the first one here, and I like to just call this our halfway back position. Okay, so that's when the club gets parallel to the ground, something like this. Okay, all right. And what we're looking for right here is when we start going back and we're getting the club in a position like this. Okay, what I'm looking for is if I looked at my spine. Okay, sorry, I get that angle right. Okay, how can I tell if I'm square to even a little bit closed? Well, I need the angle of the club face to match up with my spine. Okay, we're getting somewhere fairly close to that. Okay, what I don't like to see is as they come back where the club face gets open and open and open. Now, if we took that back down to the ball, that club face is wide open. So we do not want to see this laid back position. We want to see the club in a more neutral, a little shut. I don't like to see it pointing straight down either. And this lead hand is tucked under. I don't think you're going to have too many good things happen from there. But something, so we're taking it back where that club is more in a neutral position right there. Okay? So that's the first checkpoint that you can look at. Again, if you can get the golf club there, you're off to a really, really good start in your backswing. You've got the club face in a good place to not slice it. So from there, the next checkpoint we look at is the top of the backswing. Okay? I'm going to try to get it in frame here. So as I get to the top, one thing I like to look at is where is the club face in relation to my lead arm? My lead arm right here in your forearm position. So as I go back, I'm going to get up here a little bit so it's easier to see. As I go back, you can see the angle of the club face matches up pretty good with my arm to the face here, okay? And if I had it, that's a pretty neutral club face. If I had it a little bit shut, you'd actually see the face point more towards the sky. So again, we could get the face a little bit more shut, and that would help us produce a draw, okay? The one thing we don't want to see from this position, where I see players get in trouble, is they go the other way, where the club face, you'll see the angle of it, let me try to get in frame, is very up and down, okay? And it's up and down compared to my lead arm. All of a sudden, that's not the best place to hit from. Again, as we come in, that club face is going to want to point way out to the right or the left for a lefty. It's going to point way out away from me, and I'm going to be very, very, very prone to hitting a slice, okay, if I make contact with it, okay? So from there, again, we want to see that club come back, kind of be equal to our spine, if anything, a little bit more towards the ground or towards the ball, okay? If anything, not too much, though. I'd rather see that than any type of laid-off position here, okay? And then our final checkpoint. So the first one was just checking it before you ever even take the club back, your address position, your grip, making sure you're set up to control this golf club so you can hit a controllable shot. Okay, that was first. The next one is halfway back, right here. Can I get the club face pointing in this direction right here? From here, all the way back. Again, we're trying to get the left arm, the lead arm, and the club face to match in their angle. If it doesn't match, we'd rather see it air where the club face was pointing more up to the sky. A little bit of a Dustin Johnson type of look, okay? So we'd rather see it pointing more up to the sky. And then our final one is we come down, okay? When we start coming back down and we get back to this halfway down position, okay, that moment right before we're going to start getting it in impact, we definitely at this point need to see the golf club return at this position, okay, where the club face is pointing more towards the ball, okay? If you come down and the golf club is in this position where it's laid back open, we have a lot of trouble, okay? You have to do one of two things to hit a draw or to not slice it. You have to either flip it and get the club face to shut in a hurry. Okay, we're talking less than, I mean, the downswing takes 0.02 seconds, 0.2 seconds, something like that. So something less than that, you've got to make this happen. Or the other way is you have to swing so into out, okay, so into out to put some spin on the ball to make that ball curve back. And I'll be honest, that's going to be really hard to do, and you probably end up doing some crazy things. I've seen people from there that have tried to hit a draw, get their inside out path, swinging away from them, and they've hit some interesting results because it's too extreme. You know, they're not in the realm, in the ballpark. We can always swing, you know, again, straight back, straight through is not perfect. We don't want that, but we got to keep it within the ballpark too. All right, so we've got to get the club face under control so we can have the best chance of delivering the ball to our target, or to the ball, or sorry, the club to the ball, to get it to go towards our target with the curve we want. Okay, so again, those 4 checkpoints, just checking out your grip first, right? From there, we take it back, club face right here. Again, not open, not laid back, more matching our spine angle here, okay? From there, we take it all the way back, and then we check it on the way down, and then bam, we're ready to go, okay? Now, why is club face, you know, we talked conceptually about why we swing, why we want to swing into out, but when we start talking technically, okay, why is the club face that first thing we look at? Well, it's my opinion, okay, that many people swing over the top, okay, as well, okay, not only because they think they have to swing straight back, straight through, but the second biggest thing I hear from people is they're trying to swing into out, okay, but the face is so open that their brain starts taking over. And your brain's smart. It acts pretty quick. It's going to say, hey, I can't hit this shot the way you want. I cannot swing into out with an open club face. If I do that, that ball is going to go so far right, there's no chance it stays on the golf course. So, again, your brain tries to help you out. You get that open face. What's it do? It tries to correct it, sending it to the left. But again, as we start talking about spin, why does that not work? Because this type of motion, if you can just start thinking, okay, if I go like that, I'm going to spin that ball, and it's going to go right anyway. So again, it's an idea that your brain tries to help you with. I just think it's a reaction to the open club face. Our head says, hit it towards the target. It tries, but it's not usually successful in its efforts. Again, the golf swing happens so fast, it's really hard to overcome some of these things as you go through. So again, getting yourself into some sort of checkpoints technically with the face, I think is a really important exercise that you can do that's going to help you start seeing that ball curve, okay, and start getting the ball, giving you a chance to hit some sort of a drop, okay? So that's the next part to how are we going to battle our slice. So first is understand the concept. Second, let's get the club face from a technical side under control. And then if we can do that, we can start trying to get this ball out onto the golf course, okay? So you got to start learning the stages. And what I like to see my players do is take this in stages of getting this from the range to the golf course. So luckily here at our center, we get to hit balls on a range setting. We also do get to take it onto the golf course in here, and then we'll take it outside about 5 minutes down the road. So that's our progression. So it's nice to be able to hit some shots. We design the golf courses that are in the area, so they get to at least get some sort of visual of what's going on a course that looks fairly similar to them. And so hopefully that can start piecing it together in their head. But what we're looking for, if we're going to start actually not hitting slices out on the golf course, the first thing that we got to start seeing is as I hit shots, again, we go through our progressions of where the face is. But as I start hitting shots, okay, as I hit one, the first thing I want to see is I do not want to see that ball go offline crazy to the right, okay? I do not want to see that happen, all right? If I do that, okay, this is the first thing I'll see when people get up here. They're like, okay, I get this feeling. They step up, they hit a shot, it looks exactly like that, okay? And they start saying, well, wait, I was doing everything, and all of a sudden, my shot still went off to the right. It still faded. And what we have to have the discussion is, again, you have to get the concept in our head. So as we start swinging, I have to start working on controlling the spin as much as I can and seeing if I can get a shot that's going to start working towards the target. And as I go, what's going to happen is I'm going to start seeing that ball creep more and more back towards the target. So everybody will come out and say, all right, I should just automatically hit a pretty draw. No, we should actually see some shots working their way back as much as we can towards our target until we make our draw start happening. So you always want to take it in progressions where you say, all right, I guarantee you when you go out there, you're probably gonna fade it again, okay? You're gonna fade the first shot. Don't let it freak you out, okay? You're gonna have to work your way back. Again, shot after shot. You're gonna see one stay out to the right. You're gonna try the next one. It's gonna creep in a little bit. And then eventually, at some point, as you start doing it, you're working towards getting one just to curve, okay? And it doesn't even have to look like that one, okay? Does not have to look like you draw a shape as it goes, okay? It just has to look, it doesn't have to look like a pretty draw shape. It can look like an ugly hook. You just have to start seeing that ball start to curve, okay? And how are we going to get that then, okay? So we've got the club face in a better position, okay? So again, I'll see people, they get the club face in a good position, it starts going that way. How are they going to eventually get there? Well, as we swing, okay, if I was playing a hole here, okay, the one thing that we're going to have to add in is I need to get comfortable not swinging towards my target. Again, when we're making a swing, it's not straight back, straight through. So my goal, again, most people think swing it straight down and swing it straight through to my target. Ball's going to go there. That's actually not true. What's actually going to happen is you're going to slice it again. What we want is a swing that's going to be actually off fairway most likely, okay? I want to see my players, if we're looking at our range here, and if there was a big line of trees out here, I need to start getting my swing going towards those trees, but get the club face under control so it's pointing not way out towards the trees, but it's actually a little more closed, all of a sudden we're going to start seeing that ball curve around. Again, I always see it. It's a trust thing. It's something you need to work on as you go out to the course. So what we always want to do is start thinking, okay, can I check my positions, okay, with my club face? And then where's my swing got to go for this ball to draw into the fairway, okay? Again, it's not straight at the target. Okay, it's not straight at the target. It's going to be away from you. It's going to be at the part that's far away from you. So that might be trouble, okay? But as you do this more, you're going to get more and more comfortable with it. You're going to eventually start seeing it draw. Again, a few of them, you might have to practice a little bit. A few of them might still send off that way. I see that all the time. It's a progression for sure, but you just want to start working on, let's get that golf club traveling out. I'm going to keep working on it. And I know if you do it, you'll see that draw come on because it just has to, okay? It has to. That's just the way it is. If you can get it done, it will do it, all right? So that's the last piece we want to work on, okay? We're going to take it to the golf course. Two things. One, remember, straight back, straight through. That's not where we want to live, okay? That's not going to get us to draw the golf ball, all right? The other thing is we have to start building up some confidence in ourselves. And we have to start saying, okay, I have to practice a certain way. So I've got to, where do I want my swing to go so I can spin the golf ball? Again, if I've got the club face good, I'm going to be able to swing towards a target that's going to let the ball spin. That's what we talked about at the first part tonight. So if we can do that, all of a sudden we can start putting a draw on the ball. Okay? So those are the issues. Those are the biggest things I see as we go through and I start looking at people that slice the golf ball. Okay? One of the biggest issues in golf that players have is hitting a slice. Again, I think it comes from a variety of different things. It comes from bad concept. That's the first thing. Do we know what we're actually trying to do when we swing the golf club? How are we going to try to hit this ball? Okay. Do we act then from there on a technical side? Do we know what's the first priority? The first priority is the club face. Okay. Because if my club face isn't good, no matter how I swing it, it's going to be really hard to get a controlled draw and not slice the ball. Okay. And then from there, we're going to look at how are we going to practice this and take it to the golf course? How are you going to step out there and say, all right, I'm going to struggle at first. I can almost guarantee it, okay? Almost guarantee it. When you go off and you try this on your own, you're going to hit some shots. You're still going to hit a slice, okay? Again, we always have to kind of get over some of the things we've done in the past, and we've got to work on some of these things, these new habits. So we're trying to override those with some different ideas and some different thinking. So as we go, if we can start thinking, all right, this is how I want to swing the golf club, all of a sudden life's going to be really good. We're going to have a good time playing golf. Some good things are going to happen. Okay. So again, that's my strategies that I use, and hopefully I have quite a few that I've helped, and they were here. I hopefully they tell you it's worked for them. It's of how we battle slicing. Okay. Hopefully this is something that my goal is to get you over this, so you never have to hit a slice again and get frustrated by that idea, okay, or feel confused by what's going on while you're slicing it. So as we go, okay, the number one thing is taking these ideas, hopefully to help you get out on the golf course. So again, this is the first one we've done. I'd love to hear feedback, what you think. Again, if hopefully everybody was able to hear. We had issues with the audio earlier when I was testing it, but hopefully you're able to hear it. If you couldn't, let me know. We'd also like to hear any ideas. This is something we want to do on a regular basis. So any ideas that you want to talk about, or you want me to talk about, any ideas you can get people in here to demonstrate, hit live shots, things like that. Anything you would like to see during this, we're happy to try to do it, and hopefully just help people enjoy the game better so they can get out, have fun, enjoy it with their buddies, and really get to be, you know, part of a healthier lifestyle, playing this game and moving forward. So again, thank you for tuning in. And if you have any feedback, we really appreciate it. All right. Thank you.